Well, good evening guys. So the other day I got the opportunity to ride this thing, the Ninja 400. So make sure you guys watch this video to the end because it may offer you that insight on whether you should buy the Ninja 400 or not. So a little history about me. My first ever bike was the Ninja 250. That is basically the ancestor of the Ninja 400. The Ninja 400 has basically been refined so much. They've taken elements from all of its successors. The Ninja ZX14R, ZX10R, the Ninja 650, and above all, the Ninja H2. They even took elements from the Ninja H2 and put it all together and designed this magnificent bike. So let's just basically start off with my experience of the bike. So the first thing I noticed was the looks. When you look at the Ninja 400, straight away you just see a super sports bike with a high volume bodywork, and it basically looks like a much bigger bike than it really is. When I first saw it in the showroom, I actually thought it was a ZX6R, the new version, because I've got the 2008 model. I said to the dealer, wow, the ZX6R is getting really skinny nowadays, isn't it? But basically, I still thought it was a ZX6R because it looks quite large for a 400cc motorbike. And that's something as a beginner rider, when I first got my Ninja 250 9 years ago, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a bike that looked bigger than it really was. Because it was just embarrassing being a new rider and, you know, having a tender little teenage ego. And I wanted a bigger bike than I could get at the time, being learner restricted. And obviously the Ninja 250 was scrawny, it had a skinny rear tire. For some reason I was always obsessed with having a thick rear tire. I guess you could say the size of my knob was directly related to the size of my rear tire. So the Ninja 400, straight away you look at it, you see 150mm rear tire, which is quite thick for a 400cc motorbike. That's just great, that's amazing, I love it. And then you look at the front, LED headlights, and everything on the front of the bike is directly inspired and taken from the Ninja ZX10R and the Ninja H2. So it's got chin spoilers, which is taken from the H2, and it's just got a really futuristic, modern design. When you move around to the taillight, you see a taillight that's actually taken directly from the Ninja ZX10R. And basically the LEDs of that taillight are an exact resemblance of the ZX10R. Then obviously while you're still looking at the tires, you see the spokes. 5 spoke tires, front and rear, which is taken from the Ninja 650. Not only does it look great, but it also is derived from technology that Kawasaki have gained from MotoGP, and it increases the handling of the bike as well. So all in all, the looks of the bike just absolutely excellent, and that's just the main attracting feature of the bike and basically Kawasaki Ninjas in general. When you think Ninja, you think cool, right? And basically anything to do with ninjas when it comes to bikes is cool as well. So Ninja 400, it is cool. Now moving on, first thing I noticed when I jump on the bike, the clutch is really soft. It's so damn soft, it's basically like when you grab a stapler, right? And you move the stapler up and down without actually having to staple something. You just move it up and down, you're flapping it around. That's how loose and soft the clutch was. It was amazing. It's a slipper clutch, and the technology used in that clutch allows for a 20% softer impression. Second thing I noticed, ABS brakes, freaking amazing, just really powerful, really strong, and the throttle response really smooth, and basically you knew exactly what kind of power to expect at every single rev range of that bike. So still first impressions as I'm sitting on the bike, I noticed another thing. It is so light, 168 kilograms. I could basically tilt it so far down to the left, so far down to the right, and with my skinny chicken legs, I could still hold the bike up. Not that there's any reason to do this, but I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of how light the bike was. It is really a forgiving bike, and that's why I really believe that Kawasaki is catered to the beginner rider with this one. But not only the beginner rider, it will forgive the beginner rider for your mistakes, but the expert rider, the experienced rider, he will know how to take advantage of this bike and unleash its full potential. Because that's the next thing I noticed was the acceleration, man. The Ninja 250 had nothing on this thing. 0 to 100 with that 399cc 2-cylinder engine that produces 45 horsepower. I did 0 to 100 several times in like 4 to 5 seconds. I'm not sure exactly how quick because I wasn't timing myself, but it was goddamn quick. And while I'm still on first impressions, as soon as you sit on the bike, you realize the rider triangle. It's something that was really similar to the Ninja 250. And basically what Kawasaki I think are trying to go for is they're trying to give you that sports bike style seating position, but they've also tried to put a bit of comfort into that. They've tried to retain the comfort aspect. And they've done that well because the riding triangle is basically such that the foot pegs are slightly forward, so your legs aren't behind you like they are on a super sports bike. And the handlebars are raised as well, so it allows a more comfortable riding position. And I really appreciated that because it gave me the sense that I'm on a bike that can be a really effective commuter bike, but on the weekends I can tear up the roads as well. I can tear up those twisting roads in whatever national park you live near. And then I was fortunate enough that the highway was right in front of me. I jumped on the highway straight away and took it up well over 100 kilometers per hour. And when I took it over 100 kilometers per hour, I noticed that the rear tire kicked in, the wide rear tire, the amazing engine on it, and just the ergonomics and the aerodynamic design and just basically everything about the bike easily handled the highways. Basically, I was cruising at 6,000 RPM, doing over 100 kilometers per hour in 6th gear. That is basically exactly what my Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R, a bike with 101 horsepower, does. Exact same RPM, I'm cruising at 6,000 RPM on the highway. And the other thing about this bike was that it was just so stable and so in control that I could whiz through all the traffic on the highway. I was just changing lanes and just, you know, being a menace because I could. And not being a menace because I'm out of control and I'm like, oh, on a sports bike, but a menace while remaining in control. And if I made any mistakes, which I don't at this stage in life, when it comes to riding motorbikes, thank you very much, quite experienced, thank you. I didn't make any mistakes, but if I did make mistakes, the Ninja 400 would forgive me straight away and it would save my ass because the ABS is amazing. The ABS is so reactive and strong on this bike because it's such a light bike, 168 kilos. You can accelerate as hard as you want, you can brake as hard as you want, you can go flying around corners as fast as you want, and the bike is not gonna end up on the floor unless you really screw up. The bike was so in control and it's just so refined. Kawasaki just clearly don't give up. They started with the Kawasaki Ninja 250, which was a great bike, but still had a lot missing. Then they've upgraded to the Kawasaki Ninja 300, which was struggling with emission standards and stuff in Europe. Although it was quite an amazing bike, they had to then fix the emission problems. So what does Kawasaki do? Instead of going, oh, you know, let's just release a Ninja 300 Model 2 or whatever, which is basically the same thing, but the emission issue is fixed. No, they release a whole new model, the Kawasaki Ninja 400. Not only do they do this, they've announced the Kawasaki Ninja Z400 and the Kawasaki Versys X400. So basically, they're both like the Ninja 400. One is a naked Street Fighter style bike, and the other one is an adventure touring type bike. So, I mean, Kawasaki just don't rest. And another thing about the Ninja 400, while I was riding it, I obviously noticed the cockpit, the dashboard, whatever you want to call it. I like to call it cockpit because it just sounds so epic. It sounds like you're in a plane or something. And that's kind of what it looks like when you're looking at the dashboard or the cockpit. It looks like you're sitting in a Lamborghini Aventador because the dashboard is so stylish and just the numerics on it and just the way that they're styled. Looks like something that you'd find in a Lamborghini Aventador. The needle and just the instrument cluster is so expensive looking and it just looks great. There's LCD screens on it. It shows the fuel range. It shows the fuel gauge, gear position indicator, the rev meter, the odometer, and the time, and the engine temperature, obviously. It just basically shows everything that you need to know, but it does it in such a way that it's actually really interesting to look at. And the light up of the dashboard as well, the color that it's lit, I just really appreciated that. And the whole LED thing going for the headlights just looks amazing, looks great. It really makes the bike look much more expensive than it is. Really, a $7,500 Australian bike, Australian dollars. I think that's like 6,000 US dollars. That is just an unbeatable price and just an unbeatable value. You can go 0 to 100 in 4 to 5 seconds. It's got a top speed of well over 180 kilometers per hour, I'm pretty sure. That's just me guessing. I haven't even Googled this part of it. And it's just such an agile, nimble bike that forgives beginner riders and expert riders can really take advantage of it. It's perfect for commuting, it's perfect for weekend riding, and it's perfect to show off in front of your mates. I'm sure you can do wheelies on it, I'm sure you can do burnouts on it. You can basically just do whatever you'd want to do as a new rider or an experienced rider. But generally you get over the whole wheelie thing later if you have the brain. So here in my garage I actually have 3 Kawasaki motorbikes, so one could say that I'm biased in this review, but I would have to disagree with you guys, because if a lover of any motorcycle brand goes and rides this Kawasaki Ninja 400, taking into account its price, I'm sure you'll love it just as much as I do. And when you look at the brakes on the Ninja 400, you've got a front disc on it, 310 millimeters, which is exactly the same size as the front disc on the Kawasaki Ninja ZX14R. A 1400cc motorcycle, and they've taken the front disc off that and put it on a 400cc motorcycle. Now what's not to love about that? It obviously signifies just how strong and reactive the brakes are, and let me tell you, those brakes are so bloody strong you can easily do stoppies on them. And just because the bike's so light, 168 kilograms, you can easily accelerate, go around corners, emergency brake, and just do whatever you want. You can manipulate the bike so much, and it's just so responsive and so obvious in what it does. It's very predictable, the bike. I noticed one thing in the end, is that when I was riding the Ninja 400 during this whole time, I'd rode it for a good an hour and a half to 2 hours. Everything I would do was so predictable. Just, I knew what the bike wanted to do in every moment. When I would shift the gear shifting was so smooth that not only did I not really feel much of a sensation when shifting the gear at my foot, I didn't really feel the transmission and the engine react much. You know that jerkiness you get? There was no jerkiness at all. No jerkiness when you're shifting gears. There was no jerkiness on the throttle response. So when you're going on and off the throttle, there was no jerkiness at all. And the bike was just so smooth. And usually we attribute these things to one element of a bike, say the engine. The engine's amazing, or the gearbox is amazing. But basically everything on this bike is perfect. It's so freaking good. It's so refined. They've basically just taken elements from every single motorcycle and merged it together to create one epic masterpiece of a motorbike. I cannot think of anything that they could possibly do engineering wise to make this a better motorcycle than it already is. The suspension was actually quite soft when it needed to be, but would stiffen up when I would be fanging it around corners. It would be soft on straight roads when I'm kind of just cruising at a lower speed, but as I started accelerating and going around corners and stuff, it seemed to have stiffened up, and it basically dynamically reacted really well to the road conditions and allowed me to use the bike to its full potential. The only thing I can think of that I didn't like about the bike in the end was probably the exhaust. When you look at the exhaust, it reminds me of the Ninja 250, and the exhaust on the Ninja 250 was just downright ugly, in my opinion. My subjective opinion. Although it was downright ugly, it didn't sound as bad as the Ninja 250 used to sound. The Ninja 250 used to sound like a little rice burner, and this one, although it sounded like it had a bit more power, it just didn't sound like anything impressive. And a lot of people could say, oh, that's because it's got a small engine and this and that, but not really, because the BMW G310 GS or the BMW G310R, under acceleration, those sound quite amazing. And the Ninja 400 sounds quite tame under acceleration. Sadly, I can't show you what it sounds like under acceleration because my GoPro didn't record anything on that day. So all the amazing footage and all the amazing audio I got just didn't come out that well. But I mean, who cares, guys? At the end of the day, you get to see my pretty face talking to the camera, and you get to see these great visuals that I recorded on the day. And hopefully when you combine the two, you get a good video in the end, and that's what you did. So in the end, the Ninja 400, I think in its class of motorcycles, is a clear winner. There's nothing from any other brand that offers what the Ninja 400 does. For that price, 7,500 Australian dollars. I paid 7,150 Australian dollars 9 years ago for a Ninja 250, by the way. It offers you an acceleration 0 to 100 in 4 to 5 seconds. Top speed well over 180 kilometers per hour. A great powerful and reliable Kawasaki engine, 399cc, produces 45 horsepower. The bike just looks great. The bike's comfortable. It's a great commuter bike, and you can use it on the weekends or whenever the hell you go and hit the twisting roads. So basically, in summary, I gotta say, this is one sweet bike, man, and I really want to go test ride it again because it was quite enjoyable to ride. So I rode the green and ebony version of the bike, which looks quite aesthetically pleasing, but it's also available in black, and I believe black and orange, which also looks great. Anyway, for more sweet reviews and motorcycle content, make sure you guys subscribe right now. And thank you for making it to the end of the video, because, I mean, why wouldn't you? And hit that bell notification icon and jump through the loop-de-loop and this hole over here, and then click this button and click that button, send an email here, do whatever the hell you have to do to stay subscribed and stay notified on YouTube these days.